Good evening. Bit of an odd angle to start this evening's confidence question time with. It's not called confidence question time anymore. That's because I am reading something off Facebook and obviously being slightly distracted rather than giving you my full attention before we start. So good evening. How are you? For those of you who are watching live, well, there's nobody here just yet. But I will do my usual kind of waffle to say hello and welcome to you as you arrive. So hello to whoever's just joined. Do pop at the bottom and say hi. It's always lovely to be able to give you a shout out as you join. And I know for many people will end up watching this on the recording because obviously it's usually on a Monday evening, but I double booked myself. So hence the shift, and there'll also be a shift next week, just to give you a heads up as well, because it's a bank holiday here in the UK next week, and so therefore I will be hopefully out playing somewhere nice and enjoying the bank holiday Monday. So it will shift next week to a Tuesday as well. So as people join, as I say, just do say hi, or if you are really shy, just do the likes across the screen. Or any other emoticon, obviously, if you want to. It's always lovely to be able to see who's here so that I can interact with you and give you any insights, answer any questions if you want to. And it's always nice to know who's watching live as well, because then it's I can gear some of the information around to those of you who are watching, because when you're watching it live, you can you can do this when you're doing the recordings, when you're watching the recordings as well. But as you're watching live, drop in and say hi, and also put in any comments, questions, thoughts as we go through the starting topic anyway, so that we can see where it goes. That's the whole point, is that I bring a topic to the table, and you have a choice as to how much you join in. And join the conversation, basically. As you can probably tell, I'm slightly distracted because I've just realised I wanted to share something with you, and I can't because I've forgotten my tripod this evening, so I've had to do a real kind of Blue Peter-esque constructed something. So my phone is currently standing in an empty glass to keep it upright, otherwise you'd have kind of like lots of shaking with me holding it. But I wanted to share with you and show that as I say, I moved the confidence conversation, I keep calling it question time, to this evening as I double booked myself last night. And then this morning I thought, I think it was around about May last year that I started doing this. And as it was then, the confidence question time. So I went onto Facebook and had a look and scrolled through all of the videos that are there. If you didn't know, there's a lot of them, so you can always go back and look at those resources. And I discovered not only is today the exact day, last year, the 23rd of May, is the exact day that I started doing the Facebook Lives regularly. So that was kind of a bit of a wow moment. And a wee celebration of recognising that this is something I've done pretty much every week. I know there's been a few that I've not been able to do, but pretty much every week regularly. But the funny thing is, and you can go and check this out for yourself, and I was going to show you, but I'm not able to turn. If I move the camera now, I'm probably going to destroy the little function that I have. So anyway, I lost my train of thought then because something popped up on my computer. But when not only when I found that the video was the 23rd of May that I started this last year, I've actually got on exactly the same top. So it was obviously a sunny day. So the 23rd of May is a day to log in as being quite warm in the UK, because I've got short sleeves on in that video, and it was actually the exact same top that I wore then as well. And I thought that was quite strange. So cheers and a happy anniversary to those of you who watch Facebook's and join in and are here. That's a year's anniversary. That's quite amazing from my perspective. So I just want to double check, as ever, because I've not been able to do that because, as I say, I wasn't going to show you the picture. I just want to double check that this is, that this is live, this is happening. Fantastic, excellent. Okay, so this evening's starting topic. I know that there is always a challenge with connection, unfortunately. So sometimes I know I can look a little bit pixelated, which is not a good look for anybody, a bit Picassoed. But I wanted to do a starting topic this evening around self-confidence and the question of whether we are actually born with it. Are we born with self-confidence, or is it something that we have to forcibly boost or develop or build or grow, or actually what is it that happens with our self-confidence? So that's my starting topic for this evening. And for those of you that are bobbing in and out, backwards and forwards, what are your thoughts? Do you think, and you can just put a simple yes or no if you want to shorten it down to a Y or an N, then do you think that you were born with self-confidence? Yes or no? What's your thoughts? Because it's an interesting topic, and it's an interesting, well, I find it an interesting topic. And there are a lot of different schools of thoughts. You can put your answers below, by the way. There are lots of different schools of thoughts around self-confidence and what people perceive it is, which is one of the main reasons that I do these conversations and do the work that I do, because so many people have so many misunderstandings about confidence that I want to do what I can, because of the journey that I've been on for the last 10, 12 years with regards to the studying and understanding of confidence, that I like to share it. And I am very aware that one of the questions that comes up, is around, was I born with it? Are other people born with it? Is it something that is just there genetically, or is it something that I need to work at and work on? And to be honest, my answer, based on some of the research that I've read, which has come from a number of different sources, there seems to be a great deal of, a great deal of evidence that says that we are born with a confidence gene. And if memory serves right, there is one set of studies and research that reckon that there are about four specific genes, confidence genes, that you can be born with, and you could have one or you could have all four. What's interesting is, as ever, it goes down to the nature-nurture conversation, and whether we, depending on the environment that we are born into and the environment that we grow up in, that has a key influence in so many different ways. And I think that the one of the key understandings with regards to self-confidence is to look at it when you look at a child. I get to spend time with my beautiful goddaughter and her brother, who is also beautiful. And I know that watching them, that they have what looks like genetically born with confidence, and most young children do. And when I say young, I'm kind of talking under 2.5, under 2.5, yeah. If you watch them, is that they seem to be fearless, that they're quite happy with exploring things, and that's how they learn, by putting things in their mouth, and they're in things and on things, and they want to touch things and reach out, and does that hurt, and because that's their way of learning, and they trust themselves, that by having that experience, by getting that sensory experience with that they're going to be learning and can develop for themselves. Now, for me, I very often speak about the fact that confidence, when you take it back to its Latin derivation, it means with trust. And that's why when you're watching a young child, they will have trust within themselves. They do have that level of self-confidence, whether they're born the one or all four of those genes, there is pretty much for most young babies, there is that element of trust, there is that element of confidence and exploration. But whether it's to do with their environment, if they're at a very young age and they're not necessarily in a nurturing or supportive environment, or whether it's to do with as they grow up, there is a shift that can happen within that nurturing stage with how that environment is, due to the fact that we need to understand how and who we are and how we fit into the world. And the only way that we can do that is by making meanings up, by trying to work out why that person's scowling at us or why that person's smiling at us and laughing. And we take it all personally, that it's all related to us, because whatever I'm doing in this moment is making that person scowl, or it's making that person laugh or smile. So we start to take on those meanings. And obviously the more that we grow and the more that we start to then understand language and start to comprehend the language and what's going on there, we kind of work out more and more meanings. But again, all the time we're relating it back to ourselves. This meaning-making machine that we all have of a brain, we keep relating it back to ourselves, you know. So, for example, if we do something and mum or dad or another well-meaning big person around us says something like, oh, you are such a good girl for doing that, we take that to mean that that thing that we've done means that I'm a good girl, and therefore I must continue to do that one thing to be a good girl. But equally, I may not do that thing or may do something else that is then I get the message that I'm a bad girl because I've not done that thing and I shouldn't be doing that. And I'm trying to work this out and trying to find my way through the world. And by doing that, we're making these meanings up about ourselves and starting to recognise where and what we think we can trust, but in relation to our perception of ourselves. So the more that we are making these meanings up, the more kind of impact that that's going to have on our self-confidence. So I'm sure that if you've watched any of the videos before, that you will know that one of the analogies that I use about confidence is about the sun, is that confidence is like the sun. It's always there. Even on a cloudy, rainy day, we know that the sun is still there. It's just that there are some clouds in the way, getting us, blocking our access to seeing it. Now, having just flown back from Amsterdam on Sunday, I was looking out of the plane window and there was this absolutely beautiful, kind of classic, probably as I would have drawn as a kid, really fluffy white cloud. It was beautiful. And in my head, I was like, oh, wouldn't it be ace to just jump out and jump up and down on that cloud? But having also done a skydive and gone through clouds, I know that even though that cloud looks solid, it's actually not. And jumping out of the plane without a parachute would not have been a good idea on Sunday. And that's very similar to the thoughts that we have about ourselves, those meanings that we make up about ourselves as we grow, that then impact our confidence and whether we can access it. So confidence is always there. It's just those clouds that access it, and those clouds that block us accessing it, or at least we perceive that they're quite solid, like the one that I saw on Sunday from the plane. I thought it was quite solid, but it's just not. And so the debate around self-confidence as to whether it is something that we are born with or whether it is something that we have to develop, I think from my perspective, and as nobody's choosing to interact this evening, it looks like it's going to be me talking. So I'll just share with you my perspective, and you can take from it what you wish and what is of value to you. Because from my perspective, we are born with the element of that. We do have confidence genes, whatever they may be. They are there, and they are there for us. but then it's our environment that then triggers or helps us or doesn't help us, depending on which way you look at it, to develop and interact with ourselves and create meanings for ourselves that then will create our belief of ourselves. So whether we have one or four of the genes, if I've got all four genes, but then I've grown up in an environment, for example, where I'm constantly being told that I'm a bad girl, that I've got it wrong, that I shouldn't do things this way, I should do them that way. And that could be from parents, teachers, siblings, anything at all. And I'm talking from a very young age, that I could be then taking that on board and making that mean that I'm not right, I'm not good, I'm wrong, I'm unlovable, I'm unimportant, I'm insignificant, I'm of no value, I'm worthless, whatever it may be. And then that obviously is going to be the clouds that impact me accessing that confidence that is always there. So I'm hoping this is making sense. If it's making sense and you're still on here live, then let me know if this is making sense to you. Oh, hello, Brett. We are born as a blank egotistical slate with self-confidence, and said confidence is then constantly affected through our life experiences. And thank you, Brett. Yes, and it's our interpretations of those life experiences. And I think that that's the key with confidence. Once you've reached that adult stage, be that you class that as 14, 16, 18, wherever you class that as being, is it's important to recognise it, that our external circumstances, the situations, life situations, we could perceive them as being that it's these that have made me who I am, and they do have an impact on us, but it's about how we take that meaning. So the example that I'm sure you will have heard, and if not, I'm going to share it anyway, is that there are twins, male twins, that had been born obviously into the same household to an alcoholic father. And one of the twins grew up to be an alcoholic. And when he was asked, what influenced you to take that route in life, and he said, well, my dad was an alcoholic. And the other twin grew up to become a successful in life and business and doing whatever he wanted to do. And when he was asked, well, what influenced you to become, and do what you're doing? And he said, because I had an alcoholic father. So even though both of those children were born into the same households and had what would be classed as the same experience, the situation was the same, but their interpretation of it was different. And therefore, because their interpretation was different and the meaning that they made of it was different, that meant that they made it mean something different for themselves, and therefore that's going to be impacting their confidence in different ways. So thank you for that, Brett. I really appreciate that, and making me clarify even more that other aspect. So what other thoughts or insights do you have around self-confidence, and whether you think we are born with it or not? I'll give you a moment in case there's anybody that would like to, like Brett, join in, and I'll take that away whilst I'm talking, to join in and share your thoughts. I think that one of the things from my perspective is that I spent a lot of my life blaming my outside world and the outside of life experiences for how my life was. And my life wasn't, I wasn't happy. I was going to say my life wasn't great, but somebody might have looked at my life and been longing to have what I had. But I was miserable with myself. I didn't have any self-confidence. I didn't believe in myself. There's no way on this planet that I would have done videos, or I would never have even run my own business. I wouldn't be doing all the public talks and speaking that I do. There was no way that that person, the version that I had of myself back then, or rather she had of herself, because I find it hard to even relate to that version of me now, is that the meanings that she'd made about life, and more specifically about herself, was that she was less than other people, she was no good, she was undereducated, etc., etc., etc. And therefore my confidence was on the floor, and I didn't think I had any. Now, I've not been genetically tested to see whether I have one or all four of these so-called confidence genes. But what I do know is that when I was given an opportunity around about 12 years ago, 10, 11, 12 years ago, and started to see that confidence wasn't something that had to be given to me, it was something that I could look at for myself, that suddenly these doors started to open and my life changed. And yeah, okay, it didn't change overnight. It's interesting because I was away, as I've just said, at the weekend with on a course, and I was sharing with 3 other really wonderful ladies. And because we didn't know each other that well, we were kind of asking about, people's lives, as you do. And one of them said to me, once I'd shared a lot about where I've come from, they were like, "You've really turned your life around, haven't you?" And I kind of hadn't really taken stock of just how far I'd come. And it's important to recognize that. And the reason I think, and the only reason I'm sharing that now, is because I think it's very easy, if we're blaming, as I did for decades, my external world and how my life was, or what I believed it should be and it wasn't, and I couldn't do it, then if I'd have carried on that trajectory, well, I'm not even sure I'd physically still be around, if I'm honest, because it's destructive and it keeps you stuck and it's unhelpful and it's not going to help you interact with or experience true self-confidence. It's not about blaming that external world, and it's not even about blaming that internal world, but it is about you recognizing that you can do something about it, that you can start to look at yourself in a different way and start to make up far more helpful and useful meanings to the outside world. So, for example, I've said this before, that doing a Facebook Live, obviously I can see how many viewers are at any one time, and the numbers keep going up and down, and they do pretty much every time. And I know that when I do it from a Monday night to a Tuesday night, that the numbers fluctuate because people are used to being on a Monday night. And yet, if I'd have had the confidence to have done this kind of thing 7, 8 years ago, my focus would have been solely on the number, which is roughly about there, and it would have been solely on the number, trying to work out, what am I doing wrong? Why isn't anybody watching? I'm not good enough. There should be more people there, etc., etc., etc. And then I would have come off the video and, I shouldn't have done this again, and I'm so useless, and it would have been a spiral, basically, an unhelpful spiral that doesn't support or serve me in any way, shape, or form. Whereas I choose now to make a different meaning about those numbers, and whether they go up or whether they go down, whether they go into triple figures or double figures or single figures, is that I make a different meaning about it and do my best. It's hard when it keeps changing and flashing, which it does on my screen, but I do my best not to make a meaning up that relates to me, because that's only going to be another cloud that comes in and impacts my self-confidence. So let me know if this is making sense. Let me know. Share any thoughts, insights, comments, questions that you would like answered as well. So just jot those down. I just need to double check. That is what's happened. Something has gone funny on my computer. I just wanted to check that it didn't mean, thank you, Rachel. I didn't mean that other things weren't, that it hadn't gone off, but it has. It's still there. That's cool. So So that's my thoughts anyway, with regards whether we are born with self-confidence or not. I don't think it's a clear-cut answer. It's a bad connection tonight. I thought it might be somehow, because just the way the numbers keep flicking backwards and forwards, says the lady who just said she wasn't really looking at them, but I can see when they're kind of flicking around. So I think it must be a connection for other people, if I'm honest, because I'm looking at it on my other screen and it's coming through loud and clear. So anyway, so when it comes to you looking at how you can develop your own self-confidence, it's going to be about you starting to see those clouds and starting to look at how you can make different meanings up of situations and life in order for you to be able to interact with it in a different way. And I'm trusting that even though there has been a bad connection for some people watching this evening, that this has given you some food for thought at least. I know that they're not going to give you it's not going to be the magic wand kind of answer, because that's just not possible. And anyone who's promising that is not promising the truth, I don't believe. But I'm hoping that it's planted some seeds for you and given you some food for thought. And if you have any other comments and questions, and of course if you've been watching this on the recording and want to put your thoughts, comments and questions, then please do, because I do come back to them, I do see them, and I will connect with them as well. So if you have any other specific thoughts, comments or questions that you want to ask, then you can do that on here. Or you can email me, jules@juleswyman.com, or you can direct message me on this page as well, and it does go straight to me. There isn't anybody else that reads it. It's me that sees them, it's me that replies, and I do my best to reply as quickly as possible. So yes, I'm trusting that you're now realising that you were born with self-confidence, and that it's other things, circumstances and the meanings that we've made up about them that has made it, or potentially given you some beliefs around not seeing yourself in a certain way. So hopefully that's planted those seeds for you. Rachel's just put, I think a lot of perceptions are developed in your early years and can stay with you for a long time if you let them. And that's exactly what I'm saying, Rachel. And unless we challenge those perceptions, they are going to stay. And what we have to learn to do is be able to see those perceptions, challenge those perceptions kindly, and create, if we need to, new ones that are far more resourceful and helpful, so that we can develop a different way of being and experiencing ourselves. So I'm hoping that you found this evening helpful, and as I say, at least, if nothing else, I know it's not wave that magic wand, but at least it maybe has given you some food for thought. If you do have the questions, then as I say, email me, jules@juleswyman.com, or you can message me on here. And in the meantime, I will speak to you. Thanks, Rachel. I will speak to you next Tuesday, as it is a bank holiday next Monday, and I look forward to speaking to you then. And in the meantime, be kind to yourself, because who knows what can happen just by you being kind. Take care. Bye.